Hi, I'm Bob Hot Rod Rohr. I'm here today with this old cast iron radiator, and I'm going to reuse this, and it has a pipe nipple that's frozen in the bottom of it, probably rusted or corroded. I believe this to be over 100 years old, this radiator, so it's been in there a long time. And I'm going to show you a couple different techniques that I've used over the years to get those nipples out so I can put a new fitting in there and get this thing back to work. So here's a couple options for getting this nipple out of here. This is a closed nipple, so I don't have a lot of metal sticking out to grab hold of. Obviously, the first thing I'd want to do is just put a big wrench on that and just try it. Most of the time, if they've been in there 100 years, they don't just unscrew out. So yeah, it's certainly worth a try. Sometimes a little penetrating oil overnight on those threads will help loosen it up. Another thing that I've done sometimes is just take a torch and just warm up around the outside of this cast iron. That'll make it expand a little bit, and sometimes that's enough to dislodge it. Again, you got to be careful that you don't overheat the radiator. You don't want to crack it. If it's already finished, you certainly don't want to burn the paint off it. So I'm going to assume that we tried this. They were unsuccessful. Another tip with the wrench, if you put a bushing or a fitting on the end of it to put the wrench on, that'll keep from collapsing the nipple when you put it on there. If I did that, then I have no room to get the wrench on. So in this case, with this close nipple, that wouldn't work. But if you're going to try the wrench first, screw something on it so you don't collapse the nipple, and then it binds it up even tighter. So let's assume that didn't work. Let's assume we tried heating it. We tried the penetrating oil. We're down to the last resort, which I call the cut and remove. And basically what I'm going to do here is I'm going to cut this off a little bit closer, then I'm going to carefully cut inside here and try and split it, just put a split, and then take a chisel and a punch, and I'm going to try and collapse this nipple into one solid piece in there so I can just pull it out. So sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Let's get started, we'll give it a try. So I want to leave about a ½ an inch out there, so I'm going to take a little bit of this off so I don't have as much metal to cut out when I go in here. So good sharp blade, eye protection, ear protection. Gloves never hurt if you're going to start beating on this with a hammer. All right, now you can see I've only got about an inch of it that I have to get in there and split this way. So this is where you need to be careful and just get in there, and you don't want to get into the threads. All right, I can see that I've cut through there. Sometimes it helps to put a second slot in here up here to give it a little bit more room, so when I start collapsing, I can pound it from a couple different directions. So I'll just go in there and cut a second slot. Again, we don't want to get into the threads in here, so that's what I'll do with this slot here. All right, so now I've got a couple of slots cut into it, so now I'm going to take my punch or chisel and a hammer, and I'm just going to slowly try and go around this and collapse that nipple in without damaging the internal thread. So this is the part where you cross your fingers. Okay, so this is what I'll do. Like I say, I took the edge off that chisel. I actually put a little bevel in it so it goes right there and stays there when I hit it. Won't scoot around on me. And so I'm now going to start with that little piece there and try and see if it'll collapse in there when I hit it. So eye protection, gloves. See what happened here is we just folded it in. I got pretty lucky here. I didn't damage the threads where I sawed into it. Took a little bit more beating than you might want to do, but it didn't damage the threads, and I've got enough threads in there now that I can start a new nipple and go right back into there. I'd clean them up with a wire brush, or if you have a tap or something that you can run in there and clean up those threads. But yeah, we salvaged this radiator, and that's That's a nipple collapse method.